Fans, welcome to Sports Chat. Several things to talk about this week. Cougar basketball, Lady Cougar basketball is now up and running. Middle schools are going. UT football's finally picked up its first win, and there's still no NBA season.
Yeah, it's kind of strange to say it's a big win over Vanderbilt. It was a big win over Vanderbilt.
Especially the way it happened. I talked to Chris DeMott, who worked as a paramedic at the game for Rural Metro. And he said that the atmosphere over there was unlike any he's felt. Even at Neyland Stadium, even when we were winning regularly. The tension in the air during the overtime.
It ended in controversy, very strange. Of course, it's the same officiating crew apparently that worked the LSU game last year.
That explains a lot.
But there's still some controversy over today. Apparently a whistle was blown and the play was blown dead, and then they came out and said that the whistle wasn't blown. Of course, I'm referring to Eric Gordon's interception return for the touchdown. And technically the call that ended up at the end of the game was right. Steve Shaw, who I never have cared for, he's the head of the officials now in the SEC. I'm glad you don't have to see him on the field anymore. He said the referees he said the referees did it wrong. They did it incorrectly, but he said the correct call is what actually happened on the field, but the referees should not have reviewed it. And unfortunately for Shaw, apparently he does not know the rules as well as an official should, because there's actually a clause in the reviewable plays category that says if it's an egregious violation or an egregious missing of a play, that the replay booth can actually review non-reviewable calls.
That would have been pretty egregious. I mean, he did not touch at all.
I mean, the official, for some reason, called it a fumble and a fumble recovery, which didn't happen. It wasn't a fumble, it was a clean interception. Said his knee touched the ground, which he was, 8 to 10 inches above the ground and never even came close to touching the ground. It was just, the official that made the call, initially, he got every part of the call wrong. And it wasn't even close to what he said. So, it was not a conventional review situation, but under the egregious miss rule, yeah, it was reviewable because all plays are under that rule. And so Steve Shaw, head of officials, I never liked you as an official, and you're apparently not very smart as the lead official for the SEC, because you actually have some terrible crews. I expect this crew will probably get suspended, maybe not even working, the last week of the season.
Speaking of the last week of the season, we do have Little Blue coming up.
I mean, it's on the road in Lexington.
Which is a terrible city, by the way.
Yeah, it's pretty awful up there. I can't imagine not winning the game. Just to cast a slight bit of shadow on the game, Georgia, for whatever reason, couldn't put Kentucky away yesterday. Only won 19-10. I mean, Kentucky's been terrible all year. Vanderbilt beat them 38-6 last week. So, really, Kentucky and Mississippi are just neck and neck for who's the worst SEC team. And we beat Kentucky's best team that they've had since Tim Couch last year, with a team that's probably not really any much different than the one we currently have. So surely we can beat them again this year now that they're much worse.
Unfortunately, like I said, it's in Lexington. So one thing I'd like to do is encourage all the fans out there, if you're not got plans to watch the game anywhere else, it's 12:20 kickoff. Come out to Twin Cove Marina. They've got great food. They'll put bacon on anything.
Good food, very, very reasonable price. I mean, you think boat dogs are expensive, but really it's no different in price than any place you're going to eat anywhere else.
Great atmosphere, plenty of seating. Got the big screen plus 3 other TVs going at all times. In fact, you were to want to watch something else, there are 3 other TVs besides the main one.
Nice people out there, nice people working, great cooks, make you a custom super buttery sandwich.
It was very nice. I had the least healthy turkey sandwich of all time.
Yeah, that was a fine deep fried bacon butter sandwich, basically with some turkey on it.
There was cheese.
No, cheese is healthy. I thought I saw some lettuce on there too.
I picked it off. It was kind of, it was lettuce.
You makes up.
But it's a good atmosphere to watch a game.
It's a big game. You know, we're still playing for a potential bowl berth. They have to have that win. It's probably going to be the Music City Bowl again.
Which is still better than playing in the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, honestly, if we played the Liberty Bowl, we would probably end up playing Houston. Unless they can squeeze into the BCS. I'm not sure if they're going to be ranked high enough to squeeze into it or not. Houston, you know, they're 11-0, have a powerful offense. I'm not sure that we wouldn't beat them still because they really played terrible competition, but it would be a shootout. And you know, I'm expecting Bray to be a little better next week. He was pretty rusty. His throws actually looked pretty decent. I mean, he had those two just, you know, killer interceptions that gave Vanderbilt 2 of their touchdowns. But you know, that you're not often going to see like a 99-yard interception returned by a linebacker. You know, I saw defensive backs take them back like that. You rarely do you see linebackers take one back like that. But still, Bray just probably shouldn't have made that throw. But it's just getting back up to game speed. He's missed 6 weeks of football.
Or yeah, it's not like he can get out there and practice his throws in street clothes with a cast on.
No, I mean still though he made the key throw when it counted. You got the big big running into the kicker penalty, which probably actually saved the getting the field goal block. Probably maybe won the game for us. If we'd kicked the field goal right there, who knows whether we would have ever scored enough to win the game again after that. But because of that, Bray made a great throw. Derek Rogers made just an incredible catch with one hand falling out of the end zone for the touchdown. I'm still not 100% certain on how that actually wasn't called roughing the kicker.
He did hit him pretty hard at the ankle.
I mean, he hit him. The kicker was basically prone, and he got hit in the lower half below his knees very hard. You know, running into the kicker is usually bumping into the kicker, but just crashing into the kicker's legs like that, almost always roughing. And it should have been probably first and goal from about the 2. But that's just another SEC official mistake. They're pretty terrible. I hope it evens out over the course of the season.
You just see bad calls all over these days.
Men's basketball, they're out to a 2-0 start, but it's going to get really, really brutal.
They're on their way to play Duke.
They play Duke, number 1 in the country, in Maui. They're already in Hawaii right now. Hopefully having a good time.
It's tough sometimes.
If by some just, you know, big thing happens and they somehow beat Duke, which, you know, Duke, they only beat Belmont by 1 point recently. They beat some other teams by around 20, but Tennessee had to play its best game to beat Duke at this point. And
you know, I saw where Trey Golden it was on the pregame show before the Kentucky Georgia game. He was considered the most productive SEC athlete of the week in all sports.
Yeah, I hope it's not his best week of the season, but it wouldn't surprise me if it is, because he had an almost flawless week as a basketball player. It's hard to play any better than that. He's a scorer. You know, he can fill it up. He's worked on a 3-point shot, and he's more confident out there now that he knows that he's going to be the guy running the show. So that helps.
You know, and Martin, I'm sure has worked with him to try to improve his ability as the on-court leader.
So it's going to be hard to judge from the Duke game about Martin. We went from playing 2 teams that are not really very good, and we blew them out like we should, to playing a team that's exceptionally good, and we may get blown out by that team. So if you start playing more middle-of-the-road teams, you're probably going to get a better picture before they stack up. Now, if they somehow beat Duke, that'll be huge, and maybe they're a lot better than most people, well, everybody thinks.
Would you call that, if they were to beat Duke and Maui, the biggest winning program in history?
It would be right there with the Memphis game a few years ago that put us in number 1 when we were number 2, especially out of conference games. Personally, most wins over Kentucky I would consider bigger. So we beat some very good Kentucky teams in the past before.
On the high school front, Campbell County boys are off to a 1-1 start. They actually beat Farragut without scoring in the first quarter, and were able to. Of course, that was their first quarter under a new coach. They started out rough. But by golly, they came back and won.
They dropped the game on the road at Sevier County.
Sevier County, that's a long road trip. Sevier County's generally got some really good athletic programs. But Matt Housley, he's a tremendously enthusiastic coach. Campbell County football coach Justin Price on Twitter was talking about how impressed he was with Matt's enthusiasm and coaching ability, and actually talked how he would love to have him on the football staff just for his sheer enthusiasm.
That's very enthusiastic because it's hard to
get
be more enthusiastic than Justin Price because he gets fired up.
So things are looking bright for the boys. I think they've got some size. They actually in a preseason game, and granted it's preseason, so it doesn't mean as much, but they were able to beat a really good Jellicoe team.
I expect a lot of that Jellicoe team this year. Probably good shot at getting to the state championship level in 1A, at least making it to Murfreesboro.
And we may be going to Murfreesboro this early spring, late winter. Of course, the girls team, who I really expect to see in Murfreesboro, they're off to a slow start, but their losses right now are out of district.
Farragut is, of course, the team that put them out of the tournament last year, and it was at Farragut. And Farragut's a really good team. And Sevier County's really good, too. And Sevier County, they just had a girl named, I think, Caitlin Pickle, that was just making everything she threw up. She had about 25 or 27 points in the game. And Lady Cougars got down by 14 at halftime, got all the way back down to 1 in the fourth quarter. Courtney Morris, she ripped off 5-7 straight points in a row. Kristen Chapman was playing strong. They were playing well.
They were playing without Amber Young.
And they lost Amber Young in their first game against Farragut, and she wasn't able to play.
She's only expected to be out 1 to 2 weeks, though.
They had some younger players in at post in Amber's place, and that just made a big difference in the game.
Amber is a dominating presence in the paint. I mean, her and Shayla together can just dominate the paint. And Maria Faust is back too. She's really she's getting to the point where she's back in game form.
A lot of the post play came from Maria and from Hannah Owens, and Hannah's only a sophomore.
And is coming off a back injury.
She's been injured. Maria's coming back from the injury, and then having Amber out, that hurt. But this is early in the season, it's the first 2 games of the year. You want to win every game when you set out, but you want to take it one game at a time.
Absolutely. 2 games does not a season make.
You're never looking to go undefeated in the season, but you're looking to win every game you play. I know the girls wanted to, and that's their big desire. But all this stuff that happens right now, you're playing towards March, late February, when you're in the playoffs.
Right now, I mean, you're literally playing to get ready for district play, which will determine tournament seeding.
They're going to be fine. They'll get the team back healthy.
Now
Coach Browning will get everything going in the right direction, and those girls are extremely determined.
Now they don't play this week until after Thanksgiving. As far as I can tell, both teams are in the Heritage Holiday Classic. It'll be at Heritage High School in Blount County. Then they've got, I believe it's Clinton at home. And on December 5th, I know they travel up to Cumberland Gap, which has a pretty decent team themselves, really great facilities, not a far drive. And I especially recommend you go up there and support the team and give Sean Jesse a hard time.
Yeah, from Oasis Pizza, yell at Coach Jesse. Yell for the Lady Cougars. They're going to be fine. The boys are going to be. I think the boys may surprise people this year and have a pretty good season.
I've got a lot of faith in the boys. From what I understand, there were some football boys that Tuffy Shute got in there, and he's quite the athlete. Jordan Kindred's playing. He had a big year in football.
I'm glad to see that the football players can now play on the basketball team and vice versa. It really, you get the most out of your high school experience that way. And I just think it's better for everything, better from a conditioning standpoint. You don't have your football team almost taking a whole winter off, and you don't have your basketball team not doing any strength work in the spring. So.
And you look at Jordan Kindred, He plays in the secondary, and with him, and I'm not mistaken, I want to say that Bo Ferris may be playing too.
But some of these guys like Tuffy, of course, he's a senior, and this is unless he plays baseball as well, this is going to be his last
athletic hurrah. Yeah.
I know he wants to go out. He had just a great year for the Cougars this year, record-setting year, and he's broke a lot of individual single-game records. Played Campbell County to a pretty successful season by Campbell County standards, especially. He pretty much may look back on this in a few years, and he was one of the first building blocks of the Matt and Justin Price era of really great Cougar football.
There's not a lot to say that he could also not be one of the building blocks of the Matt Hasley era of basketball coaching.
We'll see how that goes. It's a long season, basketball, you play 30, 35 games.
And then tournament time hits.
So there'll be a lot more chances for the Lady Cougars and the Cougars to win games. They're going to, they'll get into form. The Lady Cougars, I have a lot of faith in them. They're going to be fine. Courtney, Kristen, Amber,
other Courtney,
Shayla, Courtney Miller, Courtney Morris, Emily Burge. And she actually is a young player. She played well, hit a few 3-pointers.
She's one. She has to go out there and play hard. She had 2 sisters that, were just standout players. Jessica, just from her freshman year on, and really Jamie too. They had just great basketball careers, and Emily, she's got the talent. She's obviously played ball with her older sisters all her life.
She hit a big 3-pointer and when the Lady Cougars were rallying in the fourth quarter.
That's what her sisters were known for. They're great shooters, great ball handlers.
She got a good form on her shot.
I know for a fact that the older 2 Burge girls spent time working with the legendary late John Brown. I have no doubt Emily did too. The man definitely knew his basketball, and I'd say that that Emily will go out and try to make him proud in the gym that's named after him at the hospital.
I expect a lot of good things still out of them. I'm going to expect probably approach 20 wins, make a nice run in the playoffs, hopefully get us up to Murfreesboro. Maybe them and Jellicoe and the Jellicoe girls.
That could turn into a 2-week stay because they play the boys and girls tournament separately.
Devin, if you're watching this, we may be staying with you for a couple of weeks now.
It's okay, we'll eat all your food. It's just, it could be a good magical basketball season on both sides of the mountain.
I've got a lot of faith in the good things are going to happen. They were both really close last year, Jellicoe and the Lady Cougars, and I know they have the determination to make the next step, and they got the players, the skill sets to do it, the coaches. Everything's in place for them to make their run.
On the middle school level, La Follett's girls, they staged a furious comeback against Oneida. Fell a little bit short, but that Lady Owls team looks like it's ready to step up and play some good ball. The boys team beat Oneida, which is pretty impressive because Oneida has that Yeti that plays for them.
Oneida's usually got some big kids on football and basketball, and that's no exception this year. But Coach Dawson, he's a good coach. Won several East Tennessee state championships for the large school division.
Some good schools in that division. You're talking about schools. There was a school from Cleveland last year that they looked like a high school team.
He's the standard setter in middle school. Coach Parker came off his staff and was now taking over at Jacksboro. So he's got a lot to compete with there.
And Jacksboro's off to a slower start. Their comeback rally fell short against Horace Maynard Thursday night. Horace Maynard's, they're playing some lights out basketball, and Jacksboro, they've not got a ton of size this year, but they've got some speed and they've got some perimeter shooting.
They've got some youth too, so that's going to pay off next year, and it'll pay off later on in this season too.
You know, a lot of seventh graders. I think still 4 seventh graders starting for Jacksboro. I mean, and their biggest player comes off the bench in Austin Raines. Just he's never played organized school basketball, but he's got the potential to be just a rebounding machine.
Well, you know, Coach Parker, he's a good coach, football, basketball. He's going to get it done in Jacksboro.
Well, you know, Coach Parker, when he played, he and Austin Raines are in a similar vein. He was a big defensive lineman that could just come in and play basketball. I mean, he was actually a better basketball player than he was a football player. I mean, he could handle you under the basket. He could shoot. So Austin could probably learn a lot from him.
He'll have Jacksboro going well. I mean,
he's got a great staff around him too. I mean, Bo Vincent. It's hard for me to say that I know a better basketball player in the area, and Bo's got the kind of personality that translates into teaching skills really well.
Hopefully, around the week of one of the Jacksboro Fall Al meetings in the county this year, we'll have Coach Dotson and Coach Parker on the show.
I've already officially talked to him, said he was in. Coach Parker, because of the traffic the other night, I didn't get a chance to talk to him about it. And since Jacksboro failed the Horace Maynard, I didn't really want to bother him with it, as he had filmed the study to see what he could have changed.
Yeah, both they're really good friends, they're really great guys, really great coaches. It'll be an interesting episode that week. They'll try also, still looking to get at some point Justin and Matt, maybe some of the other coaches down for a season wrap up, maybe a preview for spring practice at some point.
Of course, wouldn't mind having Coach Brownlee and Matt Housley on here too. Which, you know, Matt, last year as Jacksboro's coach was not much of a talker post game. So now Ryan, I can get to sit down and talk.
I blame that on Jessica.
Yeah,
she kind of made him leave a lot.
Boy, she did. I mean, just awful.
Stevie was right about her.
Yeah, he was. Of course, I don't know why I would doubt dancing Stevie. I mean, he's a straight shooter. Well, fans, I think that about wraps it up for talking about sports this week. We'll be back next week for a special bloated post-Thanksgiving sports chat, and we'll see you then.